Wow, you won't believe it. Last night's little guy just pointed a gun at my head, asking about the treasure on the map, and Taylor told him the truth. I might have let slip it was a nice little stash of 200 grand, so she played along with the guy. She opened the safe, and everyone thought she was about to vanish with the money, but plot twist. A big boss fell, and when Mike arrived, Taylor vowed to bring the killer to justice. With important leaders involved, the case suddenly took a big leap forward. They quickly tracked down the killer's hideout, and Mike warned his crew if he walks out alive, they'll be begging on the streets. Picture this, a guy lodging on the couch, puffing away, and the next second, a SWAT team surrounds him. Little Karami didn't resist, making the SWAT team diplomatic as orders were to keep him in that room permanently. Little Karami was enjoying himself, only to find he killed Kingston's underground mayor for $200,000. Mike sought revenge for his brother, ordering SWAT to kill. Now brother's gone, he's the underground mayor. This made him the true boss of the city, but Mike wasn't thrilled. He didn't want to step over his brother to get there. So he hit the bar for some liquid courage when guess who pops in? That little Karami here to stir up. Turns out little Karami was causing a ruckus because he's the boss little bro from the stolen cash. They learned of Taylor's issue. Guess Mike had the cash, so sent goons to shake him down. Mayor thought he could pull a fast one on us before ending up in a body bag. Get this, everything my bro gave you will vanish. Don't think you can play me again. Meanwhile, the cripple gang in jail was causing a ruckus, thinking they could run wild because of their ties with Mike's brother. One new kid, a big bad dude, didn't care. He whipped out his nightstick and dished out some major beatings before crashing into the wall headfirst. 511, nurses building, and the circus is underway. He then pounced on the inmate. When the other gangs rolled up, they were shocked by the scene, promptly turning the inmate into a human pretzel. But that was only the beginning. When the news reached Mike, he thought they were challenging his authority. So he figured it was time to revoke the perks his brother had given them. He ordered his men to separate the members of the cripple gang in order to more effectively weaken their power. Then he had other gangs teach them a lesson, and that night he hit up his brother's office. He lit a fire to erase all traces, and subsequently it was time for him to gradually take control of this city in his own way. The next day, the cripple gang's boss called him up to settle the score, but Mike, he didn't even hit the brakes. He crashed right into their turf, and the cripple gang was too scared to even raise a voice. After they threatened Eugene last time, Mike was here to put them in their place. You know the saying, you gotta mind the owner when beating the dog. They crossed Mike's line. So Black gave them an ultimatum to hand over the evidence, threatening Eugene in exchange for peace. So he called the prison to restore protection for the cripple gang members and strutted out like he owned the place. But soon after, 2 federal agents knocked on his door. Turns out his brother Taylor used to be their informant. Now that his brother's in hot water, they had their sights set on Mike taking over as underground mayor. But Mike wasn't buying it. He told the agents he could keep being their informant, but they better not meddle in his city affairs. They couldn't poke their noses in his business. Meanwhile, Karami came to visit his boss. He was the owner of the stolen cash, seeing his men empty-handed and battered by Mike. He realized if he wanted to deal with Mike, he'd need a new plan. Cue change of scene. Pretty blonde gets a phone call, looking puzzled, asking, "Why me?" "'Cause, you know, beautiful girls are like poison roses. Gorgeous yet deadly, and something big was brewing in Kingston, drawing widespread attention. By the time the cops rolled in, the house was nothing but rubble. Upon noticing the embers still smoldering faintly, firefighters quickly reached for the extinguishers. But when the flames finally went out, everyone was in shock. They found the body of a boy who perished in the fire. Turns out the house belonged to a guy named Kenny. 5 years back, His ex-wife and kid met a horrible fate, and he had just emerged from prison. The townsfolk were all over his ex, and just down the road, they spotted her with a 5-year-old child in tow. They figured he had to be involved, so the SWAT jumped into action, raiding every shady spot they could find. And that ultimately culminated in the Ellis scene, with police officers storming into the hideout of the suspects with thunderous force, left and right. But things weren't that simple. They searched every nook and cranny, but couldn't find Kenny. One of them even bit the bullet, while underground Mayor Mike played the dangerous game between two rival gangs. Who would have thought? The elusive killer, who the SWAT couldn't catch, came knocking on Mike's door that night, asking for help.